Welcome to the show. And today I'm joined by my newest guest, Brett Swarts. And he's an entrepreneur, CRE investor, podcaster, capital gain tax deferral expert, deferred sales trust educator, and also a trustee, and CA multifamily broker. He's the founder of Capital Gain Tax Solution and also the founder of Commercial Realty Apartment Advisors. And he's a host of Capital Gain Tax Solution podcast, and each year he equips hundreds of businesses and professionals with different sales test tools to help their high net worth clients solve capital gains tax deferral limitations. So, and I'm very much honored to have you a guest here. So, how do I feel today?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
Yeah, amazing. So, like, how did everything got started for you? So, and how did you reach the point you are today?
Yes, so I started out in real estate and learning about it in 2006, and I worked for a company called Marcus and Millichap, and we helped people buy and sell multifamily properties. But it wasn't always easy. 2008 hit, and it was a crash in the economic world, and I went from making a little bit of money to zero overnight, and it became a struggle to grow my income. And so I, did what every good I think entrepreneur or business professional or real estate professional does when you get pushed down a little bit. You find a way to make it happen, right? And so I got side jobs at a restaurant on nights and weekends, and I worked 50, 60, 70 hour weeks, and I kept learning, I kept growing, and then learned something about what's called the Deferred Sales Trust, which changed the trajectory of my career, and now what I do now at Capital Gains Tax Solutions. And I started to implement that strategy. My business started to grow, and fast forward, I've been able to launch the company and help other business professionals who have the same struggles and other high net worth clients who are looking for ways to defer capital gains tax.
Yeah, amazing. So yeah, absolutely. Like 2008 crash was like a really big change for every single one. So like one thing that you mentioned, like different sales tax trust. Sorry. So what is it?
Yeah, deferred sales trust is known as a manufactured installment sale. Installment sales go back to the 1920s. They are a way to defer capital gains tax. It's a part of the IRS tax code IRC 453, where if you become the lender, your tax is deferred. And so that's what happens. Somebody sells an asset, a business, real estate, and they become the lender, and they don't take all of the cash up front. In other words, they loan it to the buyer, and therefore they're in a deferral state. So we use IRC 453 to use to which is the foundation for the deferred sales trust. Now, once the funds are in the trust, what's kind of unique is you can just make payments slowly, and you can also invest it in different things, and you can defer your tax and build more wealth over time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. So like it is basically like it is complicated a bit for me to understand. So what is the difference between like 1031 and DST? Like it's
Yeah. A 1031 exchange is another part of the IRS tax code. It's called IRC 1031, and that allows somebody to trade real estate for other investment real estate. So it has to be investment to investment and to defer tax. So let's say you had $1 million piece of real estate and now it's worth 5 million, where if you were to sell, you can roll it all into another property, an investment property worth 5 million or more, and you can defer the tax. So whereas the 453 installment sale or deferred sales trust, you could do the same thing, except you don't have to go back into real estate. So you can sell, you can put the money into the trust, and then you can sit on the sidelines and buy whenever you want. And that's really the power of the deferred sales trust. It gives you a chance to really time the marketplace rather than having to buy something under pressure.
interesting. So it basically gives us more time to think about so what we can do with the wealth we have.
Exactly. Versus the 1031, which has a 45-day window to find a property, and then you have to buy that property within 180 days. And so oftentimes you're selling high and buying higher 180 days later, which that doesn't make much sense most of the time because our parents taught us to sell high and buy low. They didn't teach us to sell high and buy higher 180 days later on something that maybe doesn't look so good. So that's where we're in this marketplace that's so highly appreciated. Values are so high. It's a great time to sell, but it's not a great time to buy. You want to get on the sidelines, meaning you want to get out of debt. You want to get some diversification. You want to get some liquidity. And you want to not have all your eggs in one basket. And that's what the Deferred Sales Trust allows you to do. Whereas the 1031 exchange, you cannot do that. You have to sell a piece of real estate and buy another piece of real estate, right? In that short period of time. Why not buy a piece of real estate, some stocks, some mutual funds, some insurance, some bonds, some lending? Why don't you spread out all of that money versus just buying one single asset, which is oftentimes what the 1031 exchange forces you to do to defer all the tax.
It makes sense. So how much extra time does a DST give us compared to 1031?
So unlimited time. So you could buy something tomorrow, you can buy something the next day or day 181 or 5 years from now. So there's really no time restrictions for if and when you go back into real estate, which is the best part.
Okay, that's amazing. So like we have like unlimited time, like so to use it in the intellectually. So now, how can we use DST to like basically increase our like plan our wealth, and is it actually legal?
Yeah. So first of all, the Deferred Sales Trust and IRC 453 is based upon the U.S. tax code. IRC 453 is the Deferred Sales Trust, is a made-up name, but uses IRC 453. So it works for anybody who's selling something that's subject to United States capital gains tax. So as long as it's subject to that, then it can work no matter where you live or where you're from. As long as you have something that's subject to U.S. capital gains tax, it works for that. So it's been tested about a dozen times by the IRS for some different audits, and all of those were no change audits, meaning they're all successful, and it's worked every time for 25 years. So yes, it is legal. It's proven. There's billions under management. And it's a great solution for clients and individuals looking to defer capital gains tax.
Okay. So in how many scenarios can we use the deferred sales trust?
Yeah, it works for just about any highly appreciated asset. It could be cryptocurrency, it could be primary homes, it could be investment properties, it could be businesses, it could be stock. Right? Whereas the 1031 exchange only works for investment properties. So the Deferred Sales Trust can essentially defer capital gains tax of any kind that's subject to U.S. capital gains tax.
So let's say someone wants to sell their business, then how can he use a deferred sales trust?
So you would sell the business or find a buyer to sell it, or find a buyer to buy it. But before you sell it to them, you would have the trust set up, and then you'd have the funds sent to the trust. You sell the business to the trust, and the trust sells the business to the ultimate buyer. So step one is you go to our website, capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. Step two, you set up a free consultation call. Now the deal has to be at least $1 million or more in net proceeds and $1 million or more in gain. And as long as you hit those parameters, then you can move to step three, which is we have the trust form, the tax attorneys, and then step four, we just close the transaction.
Okay, so you actually have the clear process, like how everything is done.
Correct.
Amazing. So it was mentioned that it can be used to attract, let's say, like investors for, like, let's say, property development. So how can deferred sales trust be used to attract high net worth, let's say, partners or like investors?
Yeah, great question. So a lot of folks, once they use the Deferred Sales Trust, you need to invest funds somewhere. And so if you're a financial advisor looking to manage funds, it's a great way to help you achieve more accounts under management, because you're helping somebody sell something and then they can invest in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Or if you're a commercial real estate operator and you're looking for ways to raise capital for your deals, some of the funds can be put into those real estate deals. And so when you provide a solution for people, it unlocks them, it gives them the ability to sell and then to defer the tax, and then they can be invested.
Interesting. Interesting. So like, so what's the history behind like deferred sales trust? So like, how long has this been in use?
Yeah, so it's been around for about 25 years now, and there's thousands of closes, and there's a billions under management, and just about a dozen no change IRS audits.
Okay, interesting. So like, so 1031 or sometimes fails. Okay, so like now, how can someone like use deferred sales trust to like, let's say, get over that fail? Like, let's imagine like 1031 fail. Now, what can he do right now to save himself?
Yeah, if it failed. So if the 1031 exchange failed, then you can, before the funds are sent to you personally, you could, if we set up properly with the exchange company, we can have the funds sent to the trust. And so that's the key. We want to make sure the trust is set up and that it goes in that order. It doesn't go to your personal hands first; it goes to the trust. So and we have to do that within the time frames of the 1031 exchange. But yeah, we save 1031 exchanges just about very very often.
Very often. Okay, interesting. Great. So like, how many people have you helped so far? Or like, yeah,
Yeah, so there's been thousands of trusts closed, and we're averaging I think about two to three deals a month, and so it's growing rapidly on our side as well.
okay, great. So now, so I have two questions right now. So why did you started basically capital gain tax, and what's the vision of it right now? Like, let's say in 10, 50 years, where do you see capital gain tax?
Yeah, so we started Capital Gains Tax Solutions to give people freedom from feeling trapped by capital gains tax on the sale of highly appreciated assets. So it really comes down to people want options and freedom, and they want the ability to not have to stay in a business or a piece of real estate or a home or cryptocurrency, and they actually just want to be able to diversify and get cash flow and retire and spend time with their families or travel or start a new business, or it's different for everybody, why they're selling something and what new chapter they want to go into. But when you're faced with 30 to 50% capital gains tax when you sell something, it can be very very limiting. And so we started it to provide freedom for people.
So what's the vision for this? So like, where do you see this company after, let's say, 5 or 10 years?
Yeah, the vision is to have coached and trained and equipped 100,000 business professionals with the Deferred Sales Trust tool so they can help their clients. And that includes financial advisors, business professionals, realtors, commercial real estate syndicators, attorneys, CPAs, and that's within the 10 years. And then as far as us, yeah, we want to probably about $1 billion under management in the next 5 years, and that would be able to unlock more opportunities to train and coach and grow the company and help more people.
Okay, amazing. Yeah, that's a really great issue. Now, like, there is one question that I always ask every single one, like of all of my guests. So, like, what is learning and education to you?
I didn't quite catch it. What is learning
And
and
education,
learning and education?
yeah.
So what is it? So learning, I think, will be something that you're growing and you're achieving, and you're able to give back with that particular thing that you have knowledge in. And I think I think learning is growth. I think learning is exciting. I think learning is part of life, and so it's vitally important to grow and to learn.
Yeah, exactly. And you guys are also teaching like people who are who are actually trying to learn about this process and to help other people. Yeah, that's
Correct.
yeah,
Hmm.
that's really. So we are almost at the end, so that we had a quick chat. Now, so any last word that you would like to share, or let's say, what advice will you give to your younger self?
Yeah, just learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. A lot of the traditional educational system just teaches us to get the higher grades or get the degree or go get the job or go get the salary or go get the whatever, right? So that's the wrong. I think that's not the best focus. The best focus is to learn to work harder on your entire self. So your leadership, your I'm a Christian, so your spiritual walk, your finances, your family, your health, also your career, and also your education. That's important. But that's just one area. So learn to work harder on yourself, your entire self, because what that helps us to become more, versus just working harder on attaining one thing, which is often just temporary, right? We obtain something one time or achieve this thing, and it's temporary. But if we work harder on ourselves and our character, and it helps us to make a difference in the world, that's the stuff that's eternal and that lasts forever.
Amazing, amazing words. So where can our listeners or like the people who are watching the video as well? So can they find you, online or offline?
Yeah, they can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com, and then we have a Facebook page, and we also have our Instagram. We also have LinkedIn. So just search Capital Gains Tax Solutions. You can also search Brett Swarts, and also show on all social media as well.
Amazing. Yeah. So that's how it shows. Like, thanks for coming on the show. Highly appreciate it. And yeah, so pretty sure like listeners also learned a lot from our conversation, and that's how we end the conversation, the show.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.